Hi, I'm Kim Kiyosaki, and welcome to Keys to the Cash Flow Game. And yes, I am the queen of cash flow. So first I want to thank all of you who have participated in a cash flow club, or you've started and are leading a cash flow club, or maybe you've heard about the game and you want to join a cash flow club. We would so welcome you, because the mission of the Rich Dad Company is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. And by you playing the game with friends and associates, by being part of a cash flow club, and we have clubs all over the world, you are actually fulfilling the mission of the Rich Dad Company. And for that, we are eternally grateful. So, this is the cash flow game. Many of you are familiar with it. This right here is called the rat race. And we say how to get out of the rat race. So the purpose of the cash flow game is to get from the rat race onto the fast track, because on the fast track is where the big money is made. And how you get out of the rat race is by having your passive income, your positive cash flow, bigger, greater than your living expenses. At that point, you are free and you move from the rat race onto the fast track. So let's talk about one of the spaces in the rat race, and that space is called opportunity. And when you land on opportunity, you have a choice between a small deal and a big deal. What I find really interesting sometimes is that somebody may be playing the game and they have very little cash and very little resources, and they land on opportunity, and of course they want to big dog it and they go for the big deal. So just in real life, if you don't have a lot of financial education and you don't have a lot of experience in investing, you're not going to want to go for the big deal. You're going to want to go for the small deal, because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to have a lot of learnings along the way, so you want to start with small deals, with small monies, make the mistakes, get your experience, and learn. Same in the cash flow game. When you're just starting out, start with the small deals and work your way up to the big deals. So in talking about opportunities, Robert and I play the cash flow game every single day in real life. And as you're playing cash flow, you're going to come up with the small deals, and you're going to buy big deals, and you're going to have an opportunity and a decision to make. And that decision, oftentimes, this is called a market card. And the decision oftentimes is, do you want to sell your real estate? Do you want to sell your apartment building? Do you want to sell your duplex or your fourplex for cash and give up the cash flow? So there's two things that investors invest for. One of those things is called capital gains. So for example, I buy a house, I fix it up, I sell it, my profit is called capital gains. If I buy a share of stock for $20 and I sell it at $50, my profit is called capital gains. In order to realize capital gains, you must sell the asset. Okay? The other thing investors invest for is called cash flow. So I might buy that same house, and instead of fixing it up and selling it, I rent it out, and every month I collect the rent, I pay the expenses, I pay the mortgage, and if I've managed the property well, I have a positive cash flow. I can buy a share of stock that pays a dividend, and that dividend I receive maybe quarterly, maybe semi-annually, maybe annually. That dividend is cash flow. So those are the two things that investors invest for. As you play the cash flow game, there's going to be times where you're going to have to make a decision. Am I going to sell my asset and get the capital gains, or am I going to hang on to it and retain the cash flow? So as I said, Robert and I play the cash flow game in real life every single day. And it wasn't long ago we had that exact decision to make. We had a property, the tenant was moving out, it was a big box commercial property. And once the tenant moved out, the decision was, do we want to sell it? Because it was a prime location. It's a prime location right in Phoenix. We had so many buyers lined up to buy it that the decision was, do we want to sell it for capital gains, or do we want to find a new tenant and re-rent it and get the cash flow? So we went back and forth, knowing that if we sold it, we would have capital gains, we'd have to find another property, or we'd have to pay a lot of taxes, capital gains tax. So the harder thing to do would be to figure out how we can keep the property and find a new tenant so that we could keep the cash flow flowing. So the decision we made, being the queen of cash flow, is we want to keep the cash flow. We want to keep the property, and we want a monthly cash flow coming in from a very great tenant. So we went through our process. The first thing, of course, we looked at is this was a fitness club. So the easy thing to do would be to sell the property because we had so many buyers lined up throwing money at us. And so if we were to sell it, then we were going to have capital gains. We'd have to then move that money into another property, or we were going to pay a lot of capital gains tax. The harder thing to do would be to figure out how to keep the property and have a great cash flow coming in every month. Now, being the queen of cash flow, the decision we made is we're going to go for cash flow. We want to keep the property. So this property was a fitness club. It was one of those big box fitness clubs. The easiest thing to do, the natural thing to do, would be to find another fitness club that wants to lease the space. So we went through that process. Didn't really pan out. We looked at all different options. Who else would be a great tenant for this property? So long story short, we feel we have found a great tenant. Now, one of the things in real estate you want to look at are the trends. Where are the trends going to? So we have all these aging baby boomers all over the world, and they're going to start needing care. They're going to start needing senior living. They're going to start needing assisted living. And we found a very, very strong company, and they want to use our property, tear down the existing building, build a very, very exclusive senior housing assisted living facility, and they are going to rent the land from us. So the beauty of that is we don't have to deal with management. We don't have to deal with tenants. They're going to deal with everything. It's called a ground lease, and every month they're going to pay us money to lease the ground that they've built their property on. So it's just like in the cash flow board game. As you're going through your small deals and your big deals, you're going to have opportunities whether to sell for capital gains or whether to retain the property and keep the cash flow. So oftentimes as you're playing the cash flow game, you're going to have that same decision to make. When you land on opportunity, you have the big deals, you have the small deals. When you land on the market, that might be an opportunity for you to either sell your property or do you keep the cash flow. There's good strategies for both decisions. You just have to learn from experience and playing the game again and again and again which decision is best for you at that time. So thank you for watching Keys to the Cash Flow Game. We trust that these videos give you finer distinctions while you're playing the game, whether on the game board or in real life. Thank you for watching. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and stay tuned to more videos from Keys to the Cash Flow board game.